And we're here. Welcome to the Reverie Esports Open number 67. I'm your caster, Effect FX. I'm joined by my partner, Octavian, and this is the first semifinal match of the evening.
And I'm hoping it's going to be a nice evening. It has been so far nice and calm and quiet, but let's shake it up a little bit, as we're already getting through the bands pretty quickly. Nocturne, Graves, Gangplank, Aurelia, Syndra, and Karma. None of these things will be seen tonight.
Some of the bands are a little unusual, especially the Nocturne. Not, and there's first lock in Kennen. Wow, they're going through picks and bans very quickly.
Kennen is something of a rising star right now in the current meta. The world's meta is rapidly informing the solo queue meta and any amateur leagues as well, such as our very own. And to that degree, I would say Kennen is a champion to be picked nowadays.
Absolutely.
Something to keep your eye on. Zach as well, I would say fits that same bill. I would actually really like to see the Zach lock in, personally.
And now we're
Zach,
seeing a
Caitlyn,
Caitlyn Hover.
these are all 2016 Worlds meta champions. You know, the series going on right now between Rox and EDG features Caitlyn rather heavily. So first picking it, maybe it's just a matter of meta, maybe it's a matter of the player being comfortable on the champ. I don't believe we've seen either of these teams before here at Reverie. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one.
Maybe Permafrost, but I don't know if they've ever made it as far as the semifinals, and I don't know if I don't really recognize the players, but
Mm-hmm.
that's just might be a lack of knowledge because obviously we can't cast every single game.
Sadly, no. No. Well, maybe not so sadly, no. I like my throat. I don't want to destroy it.
Yeah, I've
Um,
been done the long cast before where you talk 12 hours a day, and it's dumb. Don't do it.
oh man. I mean, it has its bright spots. It's enjoyable at some points, but yeah, it certainly does take the toll. Vi and Janna, two more opposite champs you can't really get, but they're going to be locked in on the same team. So I imagine we see a pretty hard carry style of AD carry to go along with this. Have like two-part composition, diving with a Vi and a Kennen, and then peeling back for I would want to say a Caitlyn, but that's already been taken away. So maybe like a Jinx.
Maybe. I don't know for sure. Vi is a little bit unusual. We've seen her on and off a bit more lately. Like at first, we never saw Vi ever, and like last month, we've seen her twice, 2 or 3 times. But not entirely sure.
She serves her purpose. I'd say she's like Zach Light right now. Zach, but without quite as much staying power in the early game and a lot more reliance on hitting that level 6 mark at a reasonable rate. Zach can do just fine, even if he's a little bit behind in XP in the jungle, because there's so much power in Elastic Slingshot. But then that's also a two-sided coin. If he misses the Elastic Slingshot, Zach is left high and dry without a gank to his name. So I'd say that both of these junglers are pretty darn feast and famine. I mean, whichever one just gets better gank opportunities and is able to capitalize on them more frequently is gonna come out on top. You know, there's no hard farm style jungle picked between these two teams here.
Absolutely. Is a Nami and a Rumble locked in? Rumble, of course, is one of those picks that always shows back up at Worlds. If it falls off, you always see it pick back up around Worlds. Just really, really good champion. And we're seeing a Vel'Koz hover. I don't see a lot of Vel'Koz.
I just recently saw Vel'Koz earlier today, actually. I was casting for the CSL Division 2, and I saw Vel'Koz go 11-0. So in the right hands, Vel'Koz, or maybe in the right tentacles, Vel'Koz is a potent pick. But yeah, it is something more of a niche player pick rather than something that's like standard in the meta right now. But that's the full composition locked in for the side of Zero Expectations, who have,
It's a really
I mean,
hard engage team.
yeah, I guess they've got sort of what I was considering, like when they picked the Janna alongside the Vi. What I said there, the twofold composition where they have a pair of dive buddies and then a core that can kite backwards and do some good chip damage while the enemy's being dove on. In the form of an Ezreal and a Vel'Koz, and then a Janna to keep them safe. I like it. They're drawn their battle lines very decidedly.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the durability aspect. Vi can be durable if she gets ahead, but if she gets behind, as we mentioned, feast and famine, you just melt under damage.
Yeah. Does have that passive to fall back on the shields every now and again. It's not Vault Breaker. That's her W. I can't recall the name of her passive.
It's
I don't think I'm going to lose any sleep over forgetting the name of Vi's passive, though.
it's
If I
such a little
had
thing.
to be honest, I'm not going to stay up at night berating myself over that one. But we've also got the full composition locked in for Permafrost now. And it is
Last
going to
pick,
be a Jace
Jace.
mid. Yeah. Jace, I actually really, really like that pick against Vel'Koz. Outranges him in terms of poke for the most part with the acceleration gate and shock blast combo, and is able to all in him. That is key against a Vel'Koz. You need to be able to all in the guy and burst him down. And Jace is honestly, I'd say, one of the better picks I could have thought of against a Vel'Koz. Not quite as conventional, but still rather strong. And alongside a Zac to lend ganking assistance, RT Goat's going to have to be careful.
Absolutely, definitely a lot of damage there. They have a we see the side of Permafrost has a pretty strong poke comp here. They can kind of siege really well,
Mm.
and they have the Rumble ultimate and the Zac for engage.
Yeah, I'd say that both compositions are pretty solidly put together. I like Zero Expectations composition a little better, but the laning matchups, particularly in mid lane, I like the Jace last pick for Permafrost are a little bit stronger. If only because Caitlyn's an incredibly solid laner, and Jace is, I think, going to be quite good against Vel'Koz. I'm really not sure how Rumble matches up against Kennen. The mechless Yordle versus the meched Yordle.
A squirrel and his robot faces off against a electric hamster.
Well, we do have 2 minutes before we can see how any of this is going to work out.
So, it's definitely would take this opportunity to take a small, tiny commercial break. As soon as we're in game, we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere, guys.
I smoke too much. I drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. That I can't stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. Clearly now. Clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. I smoke too much. I drink too much. I tell myself that I can't stop. We could see clearly now. 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 Clearly now. Clearly now. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly now. could see clearly, can stop. We could see clearly now. We could see clearly
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Little bit late in because of a little technical error, but
That's the
possible.
first 30 seconds of gameplay. I don't know if we're going to be able to recover. Actually, there is something interesting happening on the bottom side of the map here. We've got a 5-man stack, but they won't find anything to stack on top of.
They do get a flash though, so that's not a complete waste. Pretty valuable invade there.
Permafrost get a summoner, and pretty much just for a little bit of time that they otherwise likely would have spent sitting in the river staring at their toes. So, time well spent.
I may have missed it, but did he level his E as well?
Oh, let's see. In fact, he did indeed. That's honestly going to be equally impactful as the flash being down. That could lead to an early level 2 for Nekani and Giraffe. That could lead to a kill. Like, these sorts of things can snowball out of control. Doesn't mean they guaranteed will. Honestly, it's still perfectly possible for a Rebear to come through the lane just fine, but you don't want to take those risks.
Absolutely. So we're seeing that both junglers are starting on the bottom sides of the map. Nothing too crazy.
That was quite a generous lease. That was quite a generous lease on the Gronk. You know, words, they're really tough.
English is hard, man. I feel
It
you.
very much is. Can we just do the casts in Chinese instead? I know like 5 words. That's all we really need.
Absolutely.
Ni hao ma, xie xie.
Oh,
There we go. Hello, thank you.
I actually know something rather offensive that I'm not going to say.
Oh, just in case we have any Chinese viewership, yeah, it's probably best. Oh, Giraffe Hacks even went with the traps level 1 just to keep the zoning life alive. A Rebear is not allowed anywhere near that minion wave. It's Caitlyn territory.
That just feels bad, man.
We can't stop here. This is Caitlyn land. No, Caitlyn country. There it is. I can't even get my references right tonight. My reference game is off.
You gotta be.
Wow.
We'll see if it can improve. It's only the first game.
It is only the first game. We've got plenty of time for me to make more horribly misjudged and paraphrased references. And you know, that's my favorite thing about casting. I don't often make bad movie references, but when I do, it's on live broadcast.
Well, see, Ari Bear has finally gotten his arcane shot. Having his Q up will be vital to his ability to do anything.
Certainly going to be quite useful for farming under the turret, which is something he's going to be doing a lot of in this lane, most likely.
No Juice and Nextrix going out there.
Hit points. But we've got Xenix coming in for the backup, and this jungler mid lane duo have like the most sci-fi pairing of names. It's great. I feel like I'm reading an L. Ron Hubbard book whenever we see them getting ganked.
I've only read the one book.
I honestly haven't read any of his work because he somehow managed to inspire like a terrifying religion with his work. So I feel like it's probably safe not to.
Well, the book itself is fine. I just don't. I like Battlefield Earth a lot. It's just so silly that it's good. But
Well,
yeah,
maybe I'll take you up on the recommendation.
but the whole crazy religious thing, kind of, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Giraffe Hex is continuing his zoning work. This is a construction site, and he's put up a lot of zoning signs in the form of cupcakes.
Caution.
I don't know if those really hold true to city ordinance, but you know what? Caitlyn is the city ordinance. She's the sheriff in town. If she wants to write her road signs in the form of cupcakes, I don't really think anyone can stop her. Least of all, a Rebear bringing it back home. There's the segue. Oh, this is fun.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, seeing a nice big wave being pushed to the turret here, and have to see if Ari Bear's on point.
And it's going to be difficult even just to CS underneath the turret without Giraffe Hex landing some harass onto him. Like, with Tidecaller's Blessing being tossed down onto the Caitlyn autos with a headshot coming through every now and then, a Rebear is just going to keep on losing health in this war of attrition that's kind of one-sided.
Nice. Luckily, he's not too far behind in CS, but that lead can possibly grow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the fix for all their worries would be a visit from Vi, and it's actually a pretty good time for that right now, as there weren't any wards up until just recently. Tribush just got warded by Permafrost's bottom lane, and intelligently so, as they have been pushed up pretty much permanently.
Certainly quite a bit of aggression there. They wanted to abuse the advantage that they have here.
It's pretty easily abusable as well, given the champ matchup they're on. But
And
let's look at some of the other lanes here. Mid lane is one that I raved about, actually, for the Jace v Vel'Koz matchup, and it looks like Xenix, he's doing all right. He's only a few CS back, but he's actually a few CS back, which I didn't anticipate. I thought RT Goat would have a rough time there. But we could theoretically put that down to the fact that RT Goat has been able to base and has a few items, whereas Jace is still waiting to turn his money into power.
the top lane, this looks like Sov and not safe for work. Just call him Sov, I guess. He's Sov now.
Yeah.
Is out CSing Uber Sorcerer pretty hard.
Yeah. That matchup I was thinking could go really either way. It depends on how the Rumble plays it more than how the Kennen plays it. Kennen's play pattern is going to be pretty similar no matter the matchup. Throw Thundering Shurikens, auto-attack it whenever you can, and then all in if they're below like a half. But Uber Sorcerer has a lot more options with the overhitting mechanic, with how he has to manage his cooldowns, and he would have to basically play better than the Kennen to a pretty large degree to be able to win that, I think.
Absolutely. And we're seeing Juice just kind of hovering around that top side. He can't seem to find the gank he wants here.
Delicious cupcakes for a Rebaron support line. I wonder, actually, if Girafax is maxing that W first. He is. All right, that's why we're seeing so many of them get dropped. The cooldown is a lot lower than it usually is in laning phase. Artigo has roamed to the bottom lane. There's the geometry landing on a Girafax, but the ulti gets interrupted immediately with Nextrix over the wall. Rebear is now coming in, but he gets exhausted and he's out of mana, so he doesn't really have a lot left to throw at this fight. Artigo just about gets away. Nextrix losing his nerve and backing out. Nextris, pardon me, not an X at the end of that.
Well, the Superman leap over the wall to save the day.
Yeah, that was really well timed from the Zac. Well-deserved hot tub bath on the way back.
Absolutely. And
I mean,
as a
Artigo knew that he was in vision too. He walked right over a pink ward coming in there.
yeah, and they kind of walked into his combo, but I guess with Nexus they were able to play a little more aggressively there and almost killed him. They popped both flash and a heal.
That's the first jungler involvement we've actually seen all game now. Unless you count when Nextress and Juice found each other at the Scuttle Crab earlier. That wasn't really lane focused. It's just kind of a happenstance meeting. Oh, no, equalizer. Well, it burns up the bushes a little bit, but it doesn't do all that much to Sov. However, he's got a few more friends ready and waiting. And Xenix is there to clean up what Uber Sorcerer probably couldn't alone.
Well, that pressure does give them first blood and helps even out Uber Sorcerer's lane because he was struggling a tiny bit there.
So the roam for Permafrost's mid lane is a good amount more successful than the roam for Zero Expectations. I suppose the expectations weren't very high to begin with.
Oh.
Hey, they did it.
I know.
We've got that bad joke out of the way. Now let's make it 2 more times before we let it die. Painfully.
And I wonder if it's
That
gonna.
got dark. Got way too dark for an analogy about jokes.
Well, jokes can be dark. That is the first dragon of the game, going over to Zero Expectations.
And Sov is harassing Nextress, who's trying to take advantage of the fact that Vi was on the other side of the map by stealing a blue, but RT Goat is having none of that, and neither is Sov, and they should be able to easily handle the self-division.
Well, they even.
Go back to 0.
Ooh, Aribear's in huge trouble though.
No, good night. Ezreal actually flashes away. He may yet live. The splish splash of the Nami auto isn't enough. Neither is the ebb and flow as an Eye of the Storm comes down. Support life will really carry out alive.
Support life is a hero.
Indeed. Oh man. And Aribear just he misstepped something hard at the beginning of that fight. Walked into a Caitlyn trap, and the CC layering kept him there almost until death. I mean, they get him out alive, but it's at a huge cost. And it's going to be at an even more of a cost as Caitlyn continues to push minion wave after minion wave into the turf.
And we're seeing Uber Sorcerer's got a lot of attention up here.
Yeah, that's very true. Juice has hit level 6, and he's looking to use that ever-important first vial towards the top side, perhaps.
Sorcerer has his ult. He might.
There's the Q landing. The equalizer comes down, and Uber Sorcerer tries to walk him across the red carpet, and actually he manages to get him.
Wow.
I don't feel bad.
That's so close. They almost had him.
Oh, man.
Feels bad, man.
Gets the rights there, man. But he gets out. He gets out. Juice turns back. I think maybe he could have dropped one more auto. To be fair, the actual auto attack for Vi is shorter than the range for her E. So despite the fact that Juice was within range to land the empowered auto attack, he may not have been within range to land a regular auto attack after.
That is true. Well, that flash is down, so there is opportunity to possibly gank up there again.
That's true. Yeah, they could just focus in on the Uber Sorcerer if they wanted to.
Yep.
Juice could be in some trouble, though. This could be Zenix's second kill of the match. There's the execute off the melee E, and that's the slay.
Oh, but now he is in trouble.
Brag. Oh, yeah, Zenix maybe regretting his earlier play. He gets some good burst down on the goat. That actually pops a heal as he sidesteps out of the laser. Nice use of geometry himself there. And Uber Sorcerer's going to get stunned up. We'll see if he can chase down Sob. One spear lands. The other harpoon finds its mark, and with the flame spitter going even through the stun, it's a double kill for the Rumble.
You can't stun this flame spitter.
Luckily for Uber Sorcerer, no, you cannot. And that's actually going to be quite, well, lucky might be the wrong word. He played it well, but that's going to be quite good for Uber Sorcerer, as the lane was kind of even up until then, with Sov getting the HP advantage frequently. But now with those 2 kills, with the Haunting guys already completed, and how much is that? Almost 2,000 gold left to spend? I imagine he's going to come back with a lot more, probably Magic Pen, maybe Sword.
And there is the Leandri's Torment, so that had some dot damage there.
And more Magic Pen. Stacking that early on Rumble is so disgustingly powerful.
Well, have to see if he can pay off with that lead. And Zenix has finished his Mob Memoria, so he is going to have some nice, strong magic resist.
Not safe for work has just gotten back to lane, and, well, he's not really safe for lane either. The Slicing Maelstrom comes down, but it's immediately answered by an Exhaust. There is no possibility of a turnaround kill, and Nextress is the one to claim his life this time. 0-3 now. What looked like a promising lane for the cannon is turned on its head.
That flame spitter just shredded Ari Bear.
Oh, yeah. Now, Uber Sorcerer is a massive threat now. Like, those 2 kills allowing him to complete an item at, like, 12 minutes is probably the most impactful thing we've seen on the map so far. Either that or the fact that Zenix already has a Maw completed. Oh, that harpoon landing would have been bad. There it is. That's how bad it would have been.
That's extremely bad. That looks like it hurts a little bit.
And that swap between the top and the bottom lanes. Surge it down in the top side. A flash from Zenix before the Tectonic Disruption lands. Good reaction time. Makes it out with the loss of a summoner, but not his life.
He does manage to just barely get out. Could have been a little dangerous if that had Tectonic Blast had hit him. Most likely would have died. Though maybe not with the Maw. It's hard to say.
I think he would have gone down. Maw ain't gonna block the
It doesn't block the true damage, that's true.
Vi damage either. Though Vi isn't actually building damage, she's going Cinderhulk, which is the same thing that I saw the last Vi played, I believe, in Reverie Go. And one of my criticisms was that there wasn't enough damage on that team. Now, with a Kennen and a Vel'Koz, there's a little bit more damage on this team composition than I think the last one I saw Vi on. So maybe going tank is the right option, but I don't know, I just like early damage for Vi. And wow, they are picking on this guy.
Oh, poor Sov is definitely not safe in lane.
Good lord. I mean, it's a valid strategy. I feel like he just needs to stop going back there. Like, try and make plays somewhere else. Maybe go bottom lane to answer Uber Sorcerer's push and just catch minion waves. Because it feels like they've got this cannon's number right now.
They certainly do. There's very little vision up there for him to try and stay safe. It's too dangerous. He needs to be joining teamfights probably at this point.
Like, this is so early to be maneuvering around the map like this. This is really good macro play from Permafrost. There's been a few missteps here and there, and they've honestly just gotten some things kind of opportunistically handed to them. but opportunity is like the meeting point of planning and hard work, and they very much put in the planning here. Uber Sorcerer has been inhabiting that bottom lane, split pushing, putting on the pressure this whole time,
Speaking of,
and he may actually be paying for it now. As his team goes ahead and takes the dragon, he drops the red carpet, he flashes, he's trying to get into that bush in time, but the stun lands before he even breaks vision, and he'll go down pretty swiftly after that. However, that does mean that his team is able to take a Drake and rotate mid lane to possibly get the turret, at least get some great damage on it.
and they only used 2 ults there for him. Oh, no, never mind. He did not use 2 ults for him. They only used 1 ult, but RT Goat must have used his ult before dying in mid lane.
But I mean, you got to consider that death was for a Drake and was for a mid lane turret, and arguably even was just for all the farm that he has now, a 20 CS lead over his opponent in addition to 2 kills.
That is true.
So in the grand scheme of things, pretty unimpactful.
Permafrost definitely still came out ahead, even with that
Yeah.
1 death. There's not much argument there. And now he has more magic pen. Having those sorcerer shoes.
And Xenix is starting to snowball out of control as well. He's almost got a Black Cleaver completed. That plus a Maw is going to be so much armor pen against a team that literally hasn't built a single armor item yet. So get ready for Xenix to start half-healthing people with EQ combos.
We're definitely having to see that poor Juice is going to be in the famine state right now. He really hasn't had a whole lot of luck.
Yeah. I mean, he's farmed better than his counterpart, but that's really not the focus of this game. Like, this game seems to have been focused on getting some pretty snowbally early leads in lane and then rotating a lot. They've taken huge advantage of Giraffe's Caitlyn to push out the outer turret in every single lane. I wonder what their next play is on the side of Permafrost, because they had a really huge focus on that game plan. Now that the outer turrets are down and Dragon isn't a matter for consideration anymore, I don't know where they're going to go next. I'm curious.
Well, we do see that Rift Turtle is still up, but it looks like they want to rotate bottom.
That's exactly what I was talking about right there. Now Xenix leaving it on RT Goat, who disappears in the blink of an eye. This is why I thought the Jays would do well against the Falcons.
Talk about melting. Oh no, Draft Hex is in trouble. Or not.
Very long. Now the rest of his team is showing up. He is bursting down to a few hundred hit points. He flashes away from Airy Bear, but Airy Bear is not letting it go that easily. Now he's shifting backwards. He's got support lights kiting for him. The shield comes down and exhaust to follow. Airy Bear may yet get out, but the Aqua Prism lands, and his fate is sealed. But may get some sushi. Some payment. Not. Xenix is here to back him up. This is a long and extended bloody battle, and in the end, most of the blood is shed, sadly, by zero expectations.
And they got the 1 kill, but couldn't grab another. They were so close to picking up both Nikeni and Nectris, but just not quite enough DPS to burst them both.
And I don't really know if Juice is going to be able to hold this. This is likely going to go down. And going in like this may be a little bit of an overextension. Xenix is going to get bursted here, but RT Goat is now the target. Xenix is going to jump to the backlines with the Maw, keeping him alive. He's going to find himself another kill. Juice will fall as well. Nekani is actually going to secure that with a splish splash. And 3 times the kills now on the board. Permafrost look to heat up this game.
They're definitely quickly taking control of this game. Actually, they've had it for a while, to be fair.
You like that? I like that one.
I did like it, I'm not gonna lie.
Pretty good one. Oh, no, you're lying. Don't encourage me. I don't need it.
I mean, they're melting that turret with those, with the Jace and the Caitlyn.
Yeah, this is a
Ooh.
really turret-focused gameplay for them. There's the snipe from Airy Bear.
They do
Nice
pick up a much-needed kill.
consolation
Looks like Ari Bear's having a much better game now that he has that Sheen and Mana Moon.
prize. I think he's scaling just a little too slowly, though. They've covered over. I really like the composition actually now from Permafrost. Now that I've given it a little more consideration, Caitlyn's main weakness is the mid game, and they've sort of covered that over by just shepherding her around lane to lane, having her hit turrets and not do much else, while Jace and Rumble spike hard in the mid game, like really, really hard. And so they're covering over the weakness in one lane with strength in 2 others. And once Rumble and Jace start to fall off a little bit, Caitlyn's going to be able to pick up the slack, if we even get that far into the game.
Absolutely. We're seeing that Uber Sorcerer is actually building Rylai's too, so he is going to get more durable and have that AoE slow. So no one can get away from him in a 1v1. Nope. 2v1 though, I'm not so sure how well he would do. Did you
I think
see?
backing off is the right call there, specifically there. Dragon's going to be with us once again in about a minute. Let's see exactly which one that is, actually.
That Landry's burn is just doing a lot of work.
Fight might be breaking out pretty soon, though. Permafrost is not willing to cede vision to their opposition here. Uber Sorcerer gets chunked, but that's all of RT Goat's gas burned. He's got none left in the tank. And Uber Sorcerer only lost about half his health. Equalizer comes down. Ultimate straighted. Teams are kind of testing each other here.
Definitely looking for openings, but nothing quite concrete happening.
Oh, Juice
maybe
took the
that.
wrong push to be checking. Xtrix is going to make him pay for that decision. The Sultan Battery comes through. He gets the shield on the way out, but Xenix is on a rampage. There's a three-man slicing Maelstrom, though. It's 1-for-1 trade so far, 2-for-1. It's been really good for Zero Expectations, but my God, Ari Bear melts. And it's a 2-for-2. Better than I thought it would go, but still not so hot.
Definitely, I'm imagining that Zero Expectations is going to take whatever they can get. Because at this stage they are at basically 8-9k goal behind, and they need everything.
There's going to be a pretty free air Drake. From the Frost.
Getting some nicer roaming power.
And Apex is set up to hit his next big item spike, which is likely going to be an Infinity Edge. Pardon me. And he's going to start scaling and become a huge threat himself as well. Up until this point, he's just kind of added a bit of damage to the fights, but now he's going to be a real threat. Just in time for, like, Uber Sorcerer and Xenix to maybe start falling off a little bit.
Oh, alright, better try to kill this ward. And he does get it. And a blue buff for Xenix. Since Jace is no longer building that mana moon, they do need the extra mana.
Hopefully my audio is coming through well enough. I'm being told that it's a little bit too low.
It varies. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it just fades out a little bit. I can't figure out why it's doing that.
Reposition my mic a little bit. Hopefully that'll help resolve the issue. So now it's right up in my face, so I don't want to be too loud or else I might cause some popping. Ooh, there's a knock-up onto the Caitlyn. Nextrix is leaping into the back lines. There's the flash onto RT Goat. They're focusing down this Vel'Koz, and he is eliminated. However, on the backside, Ari Bear did get a nice snipe. This Ezreal play has been solid. He's been a little bit behind the whole game. However, being that far behind means that he goes down for a double kill to the Zac as NSFW looks for the 4-man slicing Maelstrom, and he finds it. Uber Sorcerer falls off to the side. This could be the disaster that proves victory for Zero Expectations, unless even just the Jace alone is enough to carry them back into this. God, that's depressing.
Oh, NSFW is in huge trouble here.
When the 4-man Kennen ult on a half-health team isn't enough, that is a depressing moment.
He's opted for Rylai, so he doesn't have... He went a little more durability than he did damage.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Azonia's would have been a better choice, but Azonia's a little bit more expensive anyways, so he might not have had it completed. The Rylai's utility is really, really strong.
Certainly. It's certainly not a bad item on him by any means.
I don't think it's a matter of like bad itemization choice. It's just he doesn't have enough gold to compete at this point. And
It is...
really nobody on Zero Expectations does except maybe the Ezreal. And Ari Bear got a nice snipe off at the start there, but he's so vulnerable to being instantly bursted down. Draphhex is getting leapt upon here, but he's got some healing coming from Nekami and some damage coming from himself. Juice doesn't last very long. The attempted steal from both Ezreal and Vel'Koz is indeed noble, but it doesn't find its mark. And Uber Sorcerer is going to chase down Support Life if he doesn't find some other way to get out of here, but there's Ari Bear shifting in the back. The aggressive Ezreal play finds him another kill, but it'll cost him another death. Maybe we have to see him play a little bit more cautiously moving forwards. He won't really actually be moving forwards as Nextrix is looking for yet another kill into Support Life. Here, the Cell Division gets popped though by Sov. Support Life may yet live. The Equalizer comes down, but it doesn't land on Pajana. RT Goat, however, sits on it for a while with Lifeborn Disintegration Ray.
They did not want to let him get away.
Comes the Zac and into an early grave.
RT Goat was saying that he's no way that Zac was going to get away there.
They worked so hard. They were not letting you get away from them. That is a creepy basing animation.
Absolutely. Tentacles.
Were you watching the Vel'Koz? I was watching the Kennen. He takes off his mask and his face is just pure blinding red.
That's true.
Anyways,
That is one of the newer Kennen skins. I actually haven't seen it in game yet.
yes, you have. Don't. I'm seeing it right now.
That is true.
Don't lie to the viewership effect.
Let me rephrase. I hadn't seen it up until this game.
There you go. Now you're
Nitpicking.
the best time. The best kind of. And it's a blue buff stolen there from Permafrost's Zenix. And the Baron on their side, they're going to look for an empowered push on the top lane. Giraffe Hex now hitting some pretty powerful spikes. I don't really know that there's much that Zero Expectations can do to stop this. So they can get a really good Kennen flank. We saw earlier that even that might not be enough.
If they can just find the option they need to let RT go just get a full channel ult, maybe they have some chances here. I don't see that happening.
It's really hard for them to get that sort of flanking maneuver when they have no breathing room outside of their base. There's just nowhere safe that isn't behind an inhibitor turret.
And just seeing that the J spam just coming in and one good hit is enough to drop somebody to half practically.
And Sov can't find a good opening. You see him trying to go aggressive there onto Uber, but there's nothing he can really do in the face of the Leandry's Flame Spitter. He just gets slowed instantly. No skill shot required.
And unfortunately, he doesn't have Abyssal yet, so he doesn't have that magic resistance.
And you may not ever get the chance to build it the way this game is playing out. They've even got a slow push going in the bottom lane just with a large minion wave.
And
Now
it is
they've got
about
Caitlyn
to hit the
setting up
turret.
shop.
And the Caitlyn and Jace are just making these pushes really easy with that Baron buff, and Uber Sorcerer can just stay super safe in the mid lane.
Honestly, though, I gotta give Zero Expectations some credit. They've held out longer than I thought. I'm surprised the turret hasn't gone down already. They've got pretty decent wave clear from the Vel'Koz at the very least.
Just using his smite to kill the
Toss
cannon.
in a Q now and then.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh, very nice Monsoon. Halts the engage and Giraffe has to flash back out. Really good support play there.
support life is owed a beer now, I think.
Yeah. Provided he's of drinking age, we do not condone underage drinking here at Reverie Esports. For all of those potential sponsors out there. Oh, Juice coming in on do the Sorcerer. But he doesn't have something Q, and meanwhile they've left top open for even just a few moments, and that's a few moments too long.
Ooh.
Oh, but NSFU finds the two. There's a double kill for the cannon. Extras may be in some trouble as well. He's going to get slowed up, but the Ezra on the way out. The laser comes down. He doesn't have the passive anymore. It was burned earlier. Okay, they've lost an inhibitor turret, but they are winning this team fight. We'll see if Juice can continue the action. Deadman's Plate giving him some movement speed until he gets slowed. Some doesn't, and we did land the Thunder and Shuriken. So that's the slow into Uber Sorcerer, and that's the kill. Nicely done by Zero Expectations. Live past any
And there's
of those.
NFSW getting the kills he wants there. Finally, felt like he did a lot more there. He's able to get those kills. The stunning shurikens were crucial for picking up those slows onto both Uber Sorcerer and the Nectress.
Yeah, it took them a really long time to find the right edge, but they did find it. And to their credit, they weathered a few attempted engages as well. Most notably, of course, the one where Support Life monsooned back Nextress in the middle of Elastic Slingshot.
Absolutely. If he hadn't done that, RT Goat would certainly have died.
So some good play all around from Zero Expectations. Keeps them in the game a little longer, but we have to keep in mind they did lose an inhibitor turret top lane. However, the Baron buff has expired at this point, so it's not as open a wound. But it's still something to keep an eye on for them, for sure. Extras is charging up the slingshot. He's coming over the wall. RT Goat this time doesn't have any Janna to save him. And the heal will not be enough.
And he
Shut
is...
down almost instantly.
Unfortunately, he has become a victim, and we're seeing that Nextress is becoming more and more durable. He has some more armor and health.
Yeah, and I'm really curious as to why Zero Expectations were pushing that hard into that side of the jungle. I mean, I don't think a blue buff is worth that amount of risk. They may have won that last team fight and won it pretty well, but they're still quite behind, and any individual member caught out that even just that far outside of the base is a gunner.
Absolutely. Well, RT Goat has his death cap now, so he is going to be able to do some more damage to the squishier targets.
Does behoove him to be alive to be able to do that damage, though.
That is true. Death is the best CC.
He's still got 10 seconds left on that CC. And the inhibitor is wide open here. Uber Sorcerer is continuing his split pushing ways, this time joined by Xenix. Top lane inhibitor will go down, as will mid lane. And after a brief respite where it seemed like maybe Zero Expectations had a glimmer of hope, that glimmer has been quickly doused.
And not much they could do with RT Goat there, unfortunately. They're going to have a very difficult time burning through the wall that is Nextress. He's just so durable. And he can just engage so hard, and then they have a lot of damage output. They basically have 3 carries here.
Yeah, and it's not just like avoiding the engage either. It's avoiding the poke. There's so many different things that can be thrown their way, and Zero Expectations have to dodge. And now they've got to keep in mind 2 super minion waves rushing into their base as well. And soon we'll have Baron back on the board. This is the price you pay for a loss to early game. You have so many more avenues of failure, so many ways you can lose the game. Whereas really, Permafrost can only lose the game one way, and that's by throwing really hard. It's by making some sort of massive mistake in an overextension, to dive under Nexus turrets or something like that.
Definitely need to see if they can find a way to stall this game out, if they can get to late game somehow.
Honestly, though, like, Caitlyn and Jace are both really strong in the late game, and Rumble still does all right even with his ulti.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that Permafrost has a poor late game composition.
Well, that's not what I quite was saying. It's just late game, if you can ace without having too many people die, you can just end the game.
It does lend itself a little more to turnarounds, as IO Juice is looking for one of those. NSFW is coming into the back line. Uber Sorcerer gets chunked down, but he does have a Zonias to stall for time, and that is going to be much needed, as Sov just about falls in that time period. Now Nextress finds himself a kill. Elastic Slingshot actually, I think, blind into the jungle there. Bring down the Vel'Koz, and Giraffe Hex tosses out the ace in the hole, gets body blocked there by Support Life. But Rebear and Support Life are both with their backs quite literally to the wall at this time. There's a flash in from Rebear. He really wanted to try and bring down the Nami.
And during this whole time, both Uber Sorcerer and Xenix were split pushing. They used the teleport to get down there. And that is going to be game going over Permafrost.
Well, that's the first of our semifinal matches, which are a best of 1. For those of you unfamiliar with the way that Reverie works, our finals are best of 3, and our semifinals are a best of 1. So hopefully we can get into the second semifinal match. We do like to have them both run at the same time if possible. It really depends on when the quarters end. If we're able to get into it, we will be viewing it with you. Don't worry, you'll get to hear my dulcet tones and effects tones. No, I'm just kidding. Effects, you got a great voice. I love you. I love you, buddy.
I love me too.
Oh, that's it. But if we can't get into it, then we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can with our finals. So one way or another, stick around, folks.
Well, I'm having a look to see if the game has already started, because the games started pretty close to the same time, or at least the quarterfinals all ended pretty close to the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't have anyone from either Fiesta or TMC on my friends list. Unfortunately, unless somebody else can jump in and spectate, I can't quite get in there. So we will probably have to take a small commercial break.
Yeah, I personally don't have any Fiestas on my friends list either.
So on that note, we will be back shortly, guys, unless somebody gets in contact with me. And don't go anywhere. Hopefully it won't take too long, since both games did start pretty close to the same time. We'll be right back.
Now I know it's over. I see you passing by, hand in hand, with your perfect light. I'm body, a ghost town. Feels like someone cut out my tongue. I didn't know my heart could die this young. Oh, now when I look in your eyes,
And here we are. Welcome to the Reverie Esports Finals. In the blue side, we have Fiesta Esports making a return, though with a different roster. And on the red side, we have Team Permafrost.
And it is the return of Team Permafrost to our stream, at least, as they had quite a good showing last game with some. I think their strongest strength is in the mid game. They transitioned perhaps a little poorly into some kind of messy team fights later on, but they closed it out well enough. But in the mid game, they really played around their composition quite well, and they drafted a composition that they could play around well. It's all around pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Even though they may have struggled a little bit with some of those late game team fights, they just had such a massive gold advantage that they were able to push through so easily.
That's the Kennen instantly banned out. Uber Sorcerer not looking to face off against another one of those. Karma actually taken away. No, Nekani wasn't the one playing that last time around. Nekani was playing against it. All right, so Nekani's Nami is still available. Lise, Gangplank, just some pretty standard meta stuff, honestly, aside maybe from the Nidalee. She's kind of fallen out of favor, but that's only in really high-level competitive play. Still just fine in the amateur scene and solo queue.
And it is a last ban Syndra. And now we're on to the first pick. It's an insta-lock Alistair.
Yeah, that is about as insta-lock as you get, not even a second time down on the clock. So I think there really is very much a game plan coming here from Fiesta Esports. And just FYI, it looks like the overlay still says it's 0 expectations on blue.
Oh, well, let me fix it real quick.
As it is going to be Fiesta Esports, not ZE, but FE.
Obviously, that's incorrect. ZF, what's the difference? They're like right next to each other.
Yeah, just right next to each other, the alphabet there. Oh, man.
You just gotta rearrange some of the lines.
Effect, please. You just gotta use an ancient Sumerian alphabet. I mean, come on, who doesn't? Caitlyn instantly grabbed Giraffe Hex, had a great showing on that, and Nextris goes back to the Zac. I mean, it's the same exact pair that they first picked last time around.
So they definitely like the Caitlyn and Zac pick because they locked those in first last time as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan Boyd going to the Rek'Sai. Don't see as much Rek'Sai anymore since he kind of got repeatedly hit with a Louisville Slugger.
One way to put it. I always thought it was the band hammer, but the band baseball bat I guess would be equally effective. But yeah, Rek'Sai has kind of taken a bit of a hit. Lucian could make some sense. With an Alistair, I think that's actually a really good matchup against Caitlyn. You're obviously not going to be competitive in terms of the poke and harass in that lane, but if you can find a good opportunity to go all in, Lucian is the right champ for that job. So,
absolutely, definitely has a pretty high damage output. Excuse me, I burped a little bit. Yeah,
you're excused.
Had to see.
I forgive you.
Have to see what Xenix and Giraffe go for here on their picks. Though obviously Giraffe will be playing the Caitlyn again. Mm-hmm. They can pick all the same characters as last game if they want to.
Yeah, I think at the very least we'd see a different mid lane pick. I feel like the Jace was at least somewhat responsive towards the Vel'Koz, but we may yet see another Janna. All right, there it is. And another Rumble. Okay, well, Janna, it was Nami with the Caitlyn. So Janna was against them last time. But still, 3 out of 5 so far.
And Janna's not immensely different. They function very similar to Nami. Obviously, Janna doesn't have heal. She has a shield. And
a lot less harass in the lane, I think, is the big thing.
Absolutely. But the Tornadoes and Monsoons are probably a little more reliable at instantly pushing away an Alistair engage or a Rek'Sai engage.
Or a Maokai engage.
Ooh, and they're taking a Yasuo. They do have multiple knockups to combo with that.
Yeah, I actually really like the Rek'Sai jungle alongside a Yasuo lane. That's going to be a Yasuo mid, and last time we saw Permafrost save their counter pick for the mid lane, and this time they've done a similar thing. It's pretty standard, honestly, to go for the counter pick mid. It's the most easily counter picked lane, I'd argue, in the game. Against a Yasuo, there's a lot that would work well there. I'd probably like Victor the best, but we'll see what Xenix has to say about it.
Well, they're definitely taking their time here. They're trying to figure out exactly what they want to do, because you can see the comp that Fiesta's wanting here. Really nice engage, and then having the DPS. They don't have much in the way of magic damage, though.
Well, maybe another chase. All right, 4 out of 5, the same composition for Permafrost.
They really like that really
Yeah,
kind of siege comp.
they're not looking to reinvent the wheel here. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But they're up against a much different composition this time. We'll see if that same exact game plan is going to hold as much water as it did before, or if their dam potentially has a few holes and cracks under pressure.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see a Maokai kind of making a return here. We don't see a whole lot of him in top lane anymore.
Mhm. It's strong for like the reliable, guaranteed engage that he offers. I mean, that's always been Maokai's sort of most valuable asset. You can point on someone and click on them, and they will be engaged on. Um, but honestly, it does leave them a little bit lacking in damage. If there's not a good Yasuo ulti in a team fight, they don't have enough damage to carry through that team fight, I don't think.
Absolutely. They do have a nice, really big, beefy front line, though.
That's
So,
true.
so if they can keep Swifta and how many
Ooh,
D's Marga
it's an exhaust Jace. Last second swapped over to that. Neat.
and all the exhaust for Yasuo as well. So
Yeah, I really like the exhaust against an AD melee laner, and that's kind of what the Yasuo is facing too. So both
J-
mid laners
Jace
opting for the
cheats.
defensive summoner. Yeah, Jace does sort of cheat.
He's a
To be
hacker.
fair, Yasuo gets ranged every third Q.
That is true.
But we do have about 2.5 minutes in spectator delay to get through, so I think we'll see these fine folks on the other side.
Absolutely. We'll be taking a short break. Here's some commercial for you guys. Don't go anywhere. And here we are. Welcome to the first of the final matches. This is a best of 3. Fiesta Esports on the blue side, Team Permafrost on the red side.
And hopefully it's just one of those regular Fiestas and not a clown variety, as I think we're in for some really good League of Legends tonight. Fiesta Esports is a name that I've heard tossed around the amateur scene now and again, and Permafrost delivered on some really clean-looking League of Legends for at least the first 25 minutes of the game. It stuttered maybe once or twice after that, but then they caught themselves before they could take any sort of real fall and closed it out. So I think we're in for a good best of 3 tonight, as Uber Sorcerer is going to find Ryan Boyd not quite face-checking the bush. Walking up to the bush and waiting for the bush to face-check him. It's a new strategy.
Oh. Does, how do you pronounce that? Maga.
ZR Maga.
ZR Maga.
I don't know. DZR Maga?
DZR Maga. I'm just going to call him Maga.
Yeah,
That's
Maga
easy.
Seems good. I know how to pronounce those two consonants.
Yes, those are easy. The others I'm not so sure about.
DZ doesn't quite work in the English language.
Stupid English language.
We already went over this earlier. We're not doing this straight for Chinese. We're not. You can't convince me. I only know like 4 words. Did you know that the Chinese word for little sister and the Chinese word for persimmon are the same word but with different intonations?
I did not know that.
There's a lot of words like that in Chinese.
Well, there are definitely a few of those in English.
Today everybody learned.
Oh, almost dropped my drink. That'd have been bad.
That would have been very bad. But things might go from bad to worse here in the mid lane. As Zenix and Maga duke it out.
Maga definitely not afraid to get up in Jace's face. Makes sense on a Yasuo.
Yeah, it doesn't make so much sense at level 1. Jace's level 1 is actually really strong. Similar to a lot of the champions that have those transformation abilities, since he has basically 2 abilities at level 1. He's kind of cheating a little bit. I think we mentioned earlier that Jace is a cheater.
That is true, but
Level 1 is when his cheating is most egregious.
I think it's more of a thing where he can, with the... Oh man, what is Yasuo's E called now?
Sweeping Strike.
Sweeping Strike, where he can... Oh, hello!
Hello? What?
They're giving Giraffe Hex some love there.
Oh, dang. For some reason, my directed camera wasn't on quite the same page as yours. Giraffe Hex did lose quite a few hit points. It was answered back decently well into Swifted. And that's both heating carries now chomping down on their biscuit supplies.
Oh.
Yeah, Uber Sorcerer is getting engaged on by Pie Cake Lord, but Uber Sorcerer does have quite a few minions to back him up, so he's got the numbers advantage. And Zenix may actually have a disadvantage here in the mid lane, as Uber Sorcerer is now finding himself in a 2v1. He flashes away, but Ryan Boy's not going to give up that easily. Flashes after him, but maybe he should very well have given up, as he doesn't manage to finalize the kill.
Ah, my train of thought. That's what it was. Sweeping Blade stacks whenever he uses it up to a cap. So he's probably using it to basically get a big chunk of damage onto Zenix.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some power in Yasuo's level 1, but I think he actually took Q first. And I mean, honestly, though, that was well played enough from Maga that he made up for the differential that most champions do have against a Jace. And
absolutely.
Now he's got the advantage pretty definitively in this lane.
Yeah, that's a big health difference.
Yeah, it's definitely quite impressive. Yasuo is not known for his early game prowess, at least not since the pretty heavy-handed nerfs to his starting health pool and health regen.
Right, it was like, we're gonna have to take your hand, Yasuo. We're sorry.
You've been stealing too many awesome plays. You gotta give room for some other mid laners here. And some other compositions that aren't just Yasuo Alistair.
No. Chalk's gladly eating some shots to freeze that menu wave up a little bit.
Chalk's doing some shots. Some Caitlyn shots. They're not just bad for your liver, they're bad for your everything, but mostly your head. There's the flash in for the double knockup, followed by another double knockup. What does it mean? Well, it means the Giraffe Hex has to burn the heal and may very well still lose his life as Swifto's flashing into the turret for the first blood, but he's going to give up the second on the way out. Ekony gets that one with a swift gust of wind.
Oh, I need to take this opportunity to adjust some... I didn't even notice that we have some things off here.
Oh, no.
There we go. There, it's like, why is Alistair in the middle? Oh, possible roam here.
Yeah, Nextress is on the bottom side. There's no Caitlyn, so there's not a lot of damage to back this up, but who knows? Maybe Janna and Zac will be enough. Or maybe Janna's going to go down to the Alistair, and Nextress will have to back off.
And that is going to be Fiesta Esports taking a big lead there. They thought they could kill Ryan Boy, but not quite.
And Yarmaga is actually going to get dashed or knocked back underneath the turret as he dashes forward onto the wave. It's a pretty unfavorable trade there, but he's not going to let that deter him. Perhaps the missed Q should be enough to deter him, as the flash in from Xenix immediately is answered by an exhaust. Yarmia has the minion wave advantage, and thus the damage he needed to get the solo kill.
Kind of a really overly aggressive play there.
Yeah, Xenix thought he had the kill with Maga missing the Q, with him getting a health disadvantage under the turret like that, but he underestimated the power of exhaust and also the power of the minion wave there.
Maybe he just didn't check to see what the other summoner was. I know I've been lazy and not checked before.
Yes, but have you done that in a game with Masters and Diamond level players?
That is
That
true.
seems a little less likely.
That's true.
If I had to gander a guess. Shock's looking for some vision control, and things are looking up for Fiesta.
They definitely have a nice little lead here. It's only over Little Rurike, so it's not the end of the world, but
It's gonna put a wrench into what I'm assuming was the game plan for Permafrost here. Since last game they had a very clear game plan of win a lane or two and then snowball that advantage into taking down every outer turret like methodically one after another with Caitlyn. And that's just really not going to be possible now, since they're not even pushing in the 2v2 lane, in the lane that Caitlyn should probably be winning. But Chalk's had a really great engage.
absolutely, Chalks' Flash Alistair play was really good. They did even it out, but they're still really playing nervously here.
And that lack of confidence can cost you.
Other than that, top lane is pretty much a tie currently, but mid lane is decisively in favor of Maga.
Oh, Nextris is bottom side, but he's going to get interrupted out of his slingshot and tossed back onto the turret like so much dirty laundry. He has to flash out of there. Meanwhile, Xenix in the mid lane is once again getting engaged on, and even though Maga gets tossed into the turret, he'll happily go in for a return visit off the last breath, getting himself a kill.
That was a really solid play.
Yes, indeed it was, and we see why they put some emphasis on that Yasuo pick. Now Swifta is getting engaged on here. The heal comes down. He saves himself a little bit of time. There's a teleport coming in as well. If he can just buy a few more moments, he makes it out alive. Barely any hit points to his name, but close. Does not cut it in League of Legends.
Chalks wants the pulverize. He's almost got it.
There's the headbutt. Doesn't have enough mana for the pulverize, though, to interrupt Nextris. And Pycake is going to follow him all the way to the turret. Takes a bite out of a cupcake, but it was poison. Giraffe Hex gets the second kill for Permafrost.
Pycake Lord must have said that was a mistake. I should not have done that.
Sometimes it's a boon that Maokai can follow people through mobility. Sometimes it's a curse, and right there it went a little closer to the curse.
Absolutely. He is error. Working on that catalyst. Probably going to build a Roa or a Righteous Glory.
Yeah, I think both are probably equally likely. Righteous Glory seems a little more likely to me. Especially since Yasuo is doing so well, they don't really need any damage out of the Maokai. You never really need damage out of the Maokai. It's not really his job. And since Yasuo is 2-1 already, in 20 CS up or so, I think they're doing just fine in the damage department. Oh my god, and Xenix is feeling the brunt of it right now.
Xenix
is such a clean Yasuo player.
Definitely having a really nice game here. Maga is definitely just abusing Xenix. Xenix has got to be feeling some serious hurt here.
I mean, he's the kind of, just from this play of this game alone, he's the kind of player that makes you think a character's OP. Just because of how seemingly untouchable the gameplay is. You know, like, it didn't really look like there's anything that Xenix can do to this lane. He didn't make any sort of glaring mistakes or anything. Maybe a few minor misplays. But those minor misplays were exacerbated to such a huge degree by just Maga's relentless unwillingness to let them go.
And with that lead, they're going to be able to take this free Infernal Drake, which is going to be crucial because they don't have much in the way of damage outside of Yasuo and Swift.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to help them scale into the later game really, really well. And there's not really much that Nextris can do about it. It's one of the worst feelings as a jungler, having to back off of a objective take. I don't know, what can Permafrost do here?
Maybe... I don't know.
I mean,
Pycake
seems to be doing okay, but maybe not. Pycake Lord turns around some damage of his own. He wants to step off of that ulti, but spends too long getting off of it and burns to
Kind.
death in the process. Fire beats tree.
That is true. He did burn to death there. Probably should have walked sideways off the thing instead of trying to walk through the entire red carpet.
He's from the Prometheus school of running away from things. Directly in a straight line away from the thing chasing you. Or, I don't know, the ground was the one chasing him. The metaphor doesn't really hold up, but it was funny. Here comes Nextress to the bottom lane again, but without the slingshot landing, there's not much Zach can do.
So, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Chalks is going to be able to counter him out pretty well.
A sneaking sedition. Is the South rising again?
Yes.
But
Suspicion, sedition, same thing.
the South shall rise, but very, very quiet. It's a sneaking sedition. Oh man, that's a really funny image. I like that. Anyways, you were on a train of thought, and I just completely derailed you. What was that again?
I have a feeling that Chalks is going to be able to counter out Nexus pretty well. We did see earlier that Nexus tried to get an engage near their turret, and Chalks just shut him down and knocked him into the turret.
Yeah, I mean, the Alistar was first picked, too. It's not like the Alistar was picked as a counter to Zac. Zac was picked into an Alistar matchup. Oh, a beautiful knockup on an Nextress.
Maga might still be in. Oh.
There's the flash away from the stretching strike. There's Zenix going in, but he gets exhausted instantly, and the turnaround is real. Nextress finally gets the shutdown they tried so desperately to finish off, but at what cost?
No, he's able to elastic slingshot away from the map. Barely getting away.
Oh, man.
Still, though, that shutdown gold onto Maga. That was a really ballsy play, using the...
Yeah. Ryan Boy's top lane. The Uber Sorcerer pays the price for that. The Equalizer gets dropped, but I think that was a little bit too hopeful, Uber Sorcerer. There wasn't much of a way of getting out of that one, even with flash and ults.
Absolutely. Kind of paying for his lack of vision there. He did not have a ward in the tri-bush.
And that was the one lane that was going, I mean, not terribly. I wouldn't even say it was really in favor of Uber Sorcerer that much. He got himself a solo kill earlier, which was nice, but Maokai is Maokai, and he would probably still have been fine. And even that lane now is not going so hot.
That was a good tornado from Neckhay. Yeah. Especially, definitely, top lane was the lane with the only advantage for Permafrost here. Oh, Zenix
is so relentless here. Zenix doesn't get any room to breathe in this lane. He's 30 CS down now.
Nope.
Oh, a beautiful double tornado into the double knockup off of the Zac gang. But a headbutt under the turret brings Nextress rather low. And as teleported from 5K Lord, Cell Division is popped, and Brian Boy is here for the festivities as well. The fiesta, you might say. The Sorcerer teleporting in, but there's no ulti from his attempt to escape earlier on. So there's really not much the Rumble can add to this fight. As he goes down pretty swiftly. Now Mauga has roamed from the mid lane, and we'll see the final cleanup for the fiesta players. Giraffe Hex goes down, and there's not much that Jace can do but look on in sadness.
He is going to try and run away.
Yeah, Ryan Boy doesn't quite have what it takes to get it.
No Dead Man's Plate just yet. Well, that is going to be the second turn of the game.
Both of which have gone over to Fiesta Esports.
Yeah, Fiesta is definitely taking an extremely firm lead here. It's going to be hard to see them lose this as long as they continue on this pace here.
I gotta say, a lot of this is down to Zarmaga. Like, this Yasuo play has been, honestly, some of the cleanest Yasuo play I've seen in a long time. To be fair, you don't see a lot of Yasuos nowadays, but it's in a matchup that I would say is about even. Jace, I don't think, is too hard countered by Yasuo, and yet Maga just has made it look like he's playing Yasuo into, like, a Nami mid lane or something. Seriously, Zenix has had no room at all to do anything.
And it looks like Maga's opting to go for a durable route here, too. Probably a Frozen Mallet. He's got that Jerome's Fist. So he's going to be doing a lot.
That was Jerome's Fist.
Is it Jerome's or Jereem's?
Or maybe it's Hispanic and it's Yorim's Fist. Maybe. We're getting all ethnic today on the stream. Chinese, Spanish.
Oh my. Oh, Maga's able to dodge it out, but he is going to get focused.
And there's the knockup on the Zenix. Maybe not the target to burst down, but you know, for lack of other kills, they'll keep on beating up the same guy.
Zenix has been a huge punching bag this entire game. Or a stabbing bag, I guess.
Which sounds even more ominous, really. It's been one of those dummies that you see in games like Skyrim that they have one NPC always shooting arrows at, just over and over. That's their whole life. That's Maga's whole life. Just constantly stab Zenixi where it hurts. Except he seems to be a little smarter than the AI in Skyrim.
Just a little bit.
Oh, Chox is finding a double knock up there. Giraffe Hex is going to eat the brunt of a culling, but flash out before the rest of it finds its mark. Uber Sorcerer, though, is the lamb on the altar and has turned into so much mutton. And it looks like they'll be happy with their single kill and back out, but I don't know. Giraffe Hex doesn't want to let him go so easy. Chox is pulling the same trap again. Not going to find him this time, and there's the knockup from Nextress. Let's Bounce catches a few members. Sauce now onto the Yasuo as Xandrix just wants nothing to do with this guy. He's going for the rest of the fight, but he dies nonetheless. Oh man, and Maga's in the perfect position to clean up. There's one, there's two.
Oh, and I thought that they were going to make a recovery there. They got such a nice engage from Nextress, but
That really was. That was pretty much the ideal start to a fight for Permafrost, and they still come out this far behind.
oh, that's not good at all.
Just crushing hopes and dreams right there. Won't even let him base in peace.
Well, it's definitely going to be a note for Nextress. Don't back there.
Yeah, they're almost 10,000 gold back. I think it's like 8,000 gold if they're doing that correctly back. It's the 16 or 17 minute mark.
Next dragon is live, so that's probably going to be a possible objective for Fiesta. They have such a huge lead here.
I don't really know if there is a way back into this game for Permafrost. I mean, I was about to stage the question that I always like to stage when we see one team definitively ahead of the other, which is like, how does the losing team come back into this? What's the path? But I think the path just doesn't exist anymore. It's full of brambles and it's dangerous and has monsters.
The only other thing I can think of is a meteor strike.
Yeah.
Specifically if it hits Maga's house.
It's always with the meteor strike. Every time we have one team doing demonstrably better than another, and I bring up this question, Effect says that a meteor should strike one of the players on the team that's winning.
I have a dream. One day it'll happen.
Are you responsible for the dinosaurs no longer being with them?
Maybe.
Oh, that was the blue bus stolen away by Ryan Boy, and Nextrix's life is next to be forfeit.
I really did not want to let him get away. Poor Nextress.
Almost everybody passes through the cupcakes, but Alistair and Maokai are too fat.
Lose some weight, you two.
Cut off a few limbs for the Maokai. Okay, that's kind of dark.
That is a little bit dark there.
Just wait until autumn. He'll lose plenty of leaf weight. That's all it is. It's just leaf weight. Like the equivalent of an overweight person saying it's just water weight. It's the tree excuse for being heavy.
Well, in good news for, even though it's not much, they do see a turret going down finally.
In bottom and mid.
There's one turret to 5. Fortunately.
Not looking so great numerically speaking. On really any front. I think Permafrost has to look forward to the next game. Oh man.
Nextress.
Let's Bounce gets him to a little bit of safety, and there's a headbutt from Chox, actually donating him his life, and there's a shutdown on the Yasuo. That's not the champion I expected to see dead. Right there.
He's a little bit by himself there, and Sorcerer was able to do quite a bit of damage there. He does have the armor pen, or not armor pen, sorry, magic pen.
Yeah, and I mean, Chox played the traitor and sent Nextress over to safety for the headbutt, so...
He's working for the enemy.
A messy engage there from Fiesta, which is something we haven't seen too many of this match.
Absolutely. Oh,
Cake Lord may go down as well. I mean, it's kind of tough to dive a Maokai.
Chox is there to body block.
Words right out of my mouth.
Giraffe has that Infinity Edge, opting to get that first instead of the Runins, probably just trying to get as much damage as possible.
Yeah. He's even foregone boots. He's got the seal. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult to keep his distance from Maga, which I think is like #1 priority right now. This Yasuo is so incredibly strong. And going for the new age Yasuo build, by the way, for those of you out there who maybe don't see a lot of Yasuos, this is kind of the way they all build nowadays, with the Phantom Dancer into the Frozen Mallet. it's enough damage to still be a threat to the backline, especially with the free penetration from your ulti, while being obnoxiously tanky enough to not go down easily. There's the knockup on Nekani, not the target that Yasuo was looking for. There's the knockup on Draft Hex, and that's the one he was looking for. He's going to get himself a kill, but he falls in response. A 1-for-1 trade, not too terrible for Permafrost.
Oh.
Fnatic's now backing out of the fight, tossing in as much damage as he can. Kind of weakening the laning phase, but look to make up for it with an execute there. Now it's a 2-for-2 as the trades continue to be just about even. A Culling gets a kill off to the side. If pattern continue, we'd expect to see someone, believe, go down next, but patterns will not continue, and Fiesta get themselves an advantage.
They really, really wanted Orion Boy there, but Zenix was not able to get away.
A little bit of a messy team fight from both sides, honestly. Zenix dashing in at the end of the fight might have been a little bit of an overextension, but to be fair, trading his life for pretty much anyone in the opposing team at this point isn't that bad, given how weak he is coming out of his laning phase. And Maga dashing in and taking more than half of his health before really any opportunity of note showed itself was way too aggressive.
Just a little bit. I have to see if he can possibly play a little bit safer. Probably felt like he was durable enough with the Frozen Mallet, but he ate a lot of damage.
Flash.
Giraffe Hex saying, nope, not even bothering. Bye.
Definitely needed to flash there. But, I mean, maybe Uber Sorcerer can handle his own here?
He does have the Leandries.
Ulti, it lands on the Giraffe Hex, but Maga's down. Extras is there.
Maga's really underestimating Sorcerer's damage output with that Leandries.
Yeah, and he went from being 8-1 to 8-4 now. Maybe he's a little bit too brave on this Yasuo pick. The laning phase was really good, but his mid-game fights haven't been so awesome. But Swift is there to pick up the slack. He's the legendary as Caitlyn goes down. Culling flies out, but I don't think a single bullet lands, sadly. Oh, actually, maybe they did. There's the Ardent Blaze, but Uber Sorcerer gets out. If he had Ardent Blaze the red buff, the aggro would have killed Uber Sorcerer, but Pie-Cake Lord is there for it nonetheless.
Pie-Cake Lord saving the day.
The IQ move would be to Ardent Blaze the red buff. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, speaking red buff, it is going to go over to Swifta.
Oh,
Yeah, it's got to be feel bad. Uber Sorcerer almost got away.
Look at Swift is built, man. He is built for a mid-game fight. That man just built armor pen stacking. Nekani is in some trouble. Nekani is in way more trouble than he can handle.
He did back on top of a ward, unfortunately, so that was a very, very easy pick for Fiesta.
I mean, it's not too terribly unreasonable for them to go for this.
And there's
sitting in the back of the pit, you actually take a lot more damage back there.
I don't see much in the way of vision, so Nextress is going in blind here.
Yeah, and maybe not even going in at all, as Naga lands the knockup, follows it up with the last breath, and the rest of his team is there. Zach may have some hit points, but he's not got a lot of staying power to back it up.
Doesn't matter how many hit points you have if there are 4 people hitting you. Unless it's 4 no-item supports.
Yeah, I don't think that that is the bill that quite fits these players. Maga has actually gone so far in the direction of like investing in this power spike that they have in the mid game. He's even purchased a red pot just to spike even harder right now. It seems like the plan for Fiesta is to end this game fast.
Definitely not interested in letting a comeback happen here. Maga might be trying to calm down a little bit because obviously he was playing super aggressive and it paid for it a couple times.
Yeah, and I mean that was a little bit sloppy and didn't need to die those few times, but they have enough breathing room due to the earlier performance and continued performance of the rest of the team that they can do just fine even with a few deaths on the Yasuo.
Absolutely. He should be strong enough to 1v1 anybody but Uber Sorcerer.
Phantom Dancer, third item for Swifta's Lucian. It's not often the attack speed item of choice that you see on a Lucian. It's certainly a good option, but usually you'd see maybe a static shiv, rapid fire cannon. Those are the most popular attack speed items for sort of a mid-range AD carry like that. Low range, honestly, with Lucian's nerfs a while ago.
Absolutely. I'm very interested to see what happens here. Oh, Zenix, unfortunately, getting some love that he doesn't want.
Yeah, Zenix has been the misbegotten child under the stairs of this game. He's had absolutely no love. And whenever he has, it's been very abusive love. Pie-Cake Lord is there to finish him off slowly but surely, even under the turret. However, he's going to pay for it. as they cut down one of the many trees in the forest. Chalks is saying no to that cupcake. He didn't like it. He wants to return it. He's going to take the tower for quite a while, allow his team to get in there. Swifta's legendary nearly falls, actually. Credit where credit is due. Giraffex kited that rather well. And that actually means that the falls. And this is not going to be easy for Fiesta. Pardon me. Permafrost is putting up a fight.
They're definitely doing quite well. This could be doing better if they hadn't struggled so much in the early game, but they could definitely have the potential to stall this game out. Uber Sorcerer is definitely a big damage threat.
I mean, this is one of the issues that I was talking about with Permafrost last game around. They had a really good mid game and really good skirmishing, and then they didn't know how to close out the match. And now we're seeing pretty much the same thing mirrored against them, oddly enough. Fiesta Esports had great laning, a good mid game, some really nice skirmishes, and now they don't know how to crack open the base. They've got to the inhibitor turrets, and they're making scattered, indecisive plays. They're diving inhibitor turrets with only 2 or 3 members there. Like, they just need to take a breath, regroup, get vision control, because there's no way that if they're moving as fine, that they can be contested, and decide on a strategy. You know, it doesn't have to be any one given strategy. I don't think there's a best choice necessarily for them, but they need to make a choice. Right now, they're just kind of going by instinct.
Absolutely. Uber Sorcerer probably could have gone in there, but he doesn't quite. Oh, now they know where they're at, so he is definitely looking for an opportunity here.
Yeah, Maga's on the bottom side. He's going to buy some time, but Uber Sorcerer is actually more than a match for this guy right now.
Maga
coming in. There's the teleport from the top side. Uber Sorcerer is going to go down. Going to buy a little bit of time himself. Pardon me. We'll see what happens to Swifty. Or he has to flash over the wall. Swifta, pardon me.
Their current item is Uber Sorcerer is more than a match for Maga, but obviously if Maga gets help, that evens things out quite a bit. More than even, I would say.
Again, kind of messy though. Shock's going into the turret. Xenix is going to fall. There's the double knock up as Xenix goes down. Nextrix lands the Let's Bounce though, and Shock's can only take this for so long. The ulti has worn off. He's backing out of there as quickly as he can. Giraffex now is the focus here for Fiesta, and what they focus on, they seem to get. Psychic Lord brings down Nekanian, and it is only the lonely Zac as Chalks takes up tower taking duty one more time to make sure he goes down.
Ryan Boy is going to go ahead and take it. They have no minions. They're easily able to do it, but here comes Uber Sorcerer to say hi.
See how aggressive his greeting is? Not aggressive enough.
Unfortunately, they had no hesitation and just instantly collapsed on him.
And this could very well be the game. Swifta can melt these turrets here. He's got some attack speed backed up behind all of that AD. And Piecake Lord is going to jump right onto Xenix. They're taking them down one after another as they come out trying desperately to defend this, and that's the Nexus under fire. Fiesta Esports takes game 1.
That is game 1 to Fiesta. Have to see if Permafrost can make a recovery.
I very much think they can. I mean, ban Yasuo, first off. Mago was brilliant on that champion in lane. A little bit less brilliant in some of the later fights, but brilliant in lane nonetheless. And just try and play to the what seemed to be the weakness of Fiesta, which was closing out a game. So if they can pick a composition that scales really well into the later game, survive the laning phase, and then scale up and win some team fights, I honestly think that Permafrost has a pretty good chance. It looked like a stomp that game because Permafrost didn't play to their opponent's weaknesses and didn't play to their own strengths. But if they recognize that dichotomy and they play around it, I think they have a good chance.
Absolutely. I'm actually looking forward to see what Permafrost does here, because obviously they picked 4 out of the 5 sim champions, so I'm interested to see if they change everything up a little bit, because this could potentially be the last game of the evening if they can't make a comeback.
Yeah, I think they very much need to change some things up. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know exactly what they would change up. I think the Caitlyn pick is pretty all right. Maybe they could go with something even more late game scaling, like a Jinx, but that's harder to protect. They could go with maybe a different mid lane. Jace obviously didn't do very well in that game, but I think that was more just Maga being really good on the Yasuo than Xenix not being able to perform on the Jace. Something has to change. Be that their playstyle or their picks doesn't really make a difference, but they've got to switch something up.
I do think banning out Yasuo is probably a good choice, because His laning was pretty much impeccable.
Banning out Yasuo or having a really good pick that you know can shut down a Yasuo and letting Maga pick into it and then picking the counter pick. If you're confident enough to do that. I mean, Xenix kind of got dismantled in lane, but if he's confident enough on like a Yasuo counter pick, like, I don't know, maybe a Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath is actually really good against Yasuo, sort of. There's some really weird counter picks out there. But that seems like a far-fetched possibility compared to the easy strategy of just clicking on him during the ban phase.
Banning, the ultimate counter.
All right. Well, we do have just a few moments before we get the teams all ready to go. So give us just a little bit. I'm going to go grab some water to make sure that my throat doesn't jump up and strangle me. And we'll be back in just a few minutes.
All right, we'll be taking a small minor break. As soon as we're in Champions Select, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, guys. And we're back! Welcome to the second round of our finals, and I just forgot to change the team names. Do that real quick.
Second and potentially last round, if Fiesta are able to pull out another victory. They won't be able to do it with the benefit of a Yasuo, though, as that is banned out against Maga. Pardon me. Makes quite a bit of sense.
Definitely not a huge surprise. They're actually banning out the Alistair, too, because Chuck did quite well. There we go. I have fixed the tags.
Yeah, and especially if Nextress is planning to go with another Zac pick, banning the Alistair makes quite a bit of sense, because it is one of the most powerful counter picks to the Zac. And that may be something they're willing to go with, since he picked the Zac into an Alistair last time. That's how willing he is to play the champion.
And I'm not so sure about the Kennen ban. We didn't see Kennen from... Maybe it's Maga's second choice as a possible pick, and they're wanting to shut him out.
Yeah, I think the Kennen was banned last time around as well, if I recall correctly. But there's the Zac ban, so if the Alistair ban was meant to open up the possibility of Zac play, that's off the table now. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to see Nextress go with a different choice.
And Sorcerer will have to go with the different choice as well. He actually was doing all right on the Rumble when he was completely shutting out Maga on one-on-ones.
First pick, Gangplank. That's been banned every game so far tonight, so...
It'll be interesting to see how well that plays out. It's probably a top lane Gangplank. That does make the most sense.
Yeah. Possible that it's a mid lane Gangplank, though. I don't know. If Xenix is a fan of Jace mid, he could very well be a fan of Gangplank mid. There's some similarities between the two champions there in terms of, like, range and damage output at the very least. Syndra. Ooh, that is a far cry from Yasuo.
It's definitely a significantly different character in every aspect. Except for the line CC. That's it.
And Caitlyn's been stolen away. I really like this draft phase so far from Fiesta.
And we're seeing a Karma being locked in, so it's probably a support Karma, most likely.
Yeah, still could be mid, though. Mid Karma, Gangplank, top. There's a lot of flexibleness. Flexibility.
Absolutely.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Flex picks.
For Permafrost. I want to see Xenix maybe swap it up to something new. Jace is still open for him if he chooses to go that route. But Vladimir. Oh, I actually really like the Vladimir pick. That's really strong into Syndra. Getting a favorable lane matchup for Xenix, I think, is super important for Permafrost.
Should definitely make it a lot easier for him. Of course, Vladimir is just naturally really good against mages until they get Morellos, and even then he does pretty good.
Yeah, and just particularly good against a mage like Syndra, who has a lot of her damage bound up in the ulti. And if Vladimir can time the pool correctly, that's a big if. We'll see whether or not Xenix is able to react in time. Then Maga's going to be missing out on a lot of damage, at least in the 1v1.
Absolutely. And we're seeing Ryan Boy going to Elise this time instead of Rek'Sai. It was banned last game from him, so...
And the AD carry will be Sivir, as GiraffeX was pushed off of his normal Caitlyn pick. And more interestingly, the jungle will be Nocturne.
Have we ever seen a Nocturne here?
I don't believe so. One of the main reasons you don't see Nocturnes anymore is because a long time ago his ulti got nerfed. Used to be that Nocturne was actually one of the meta picks that I think Meteos was, in North America at least, most prominent in terms of playtime on the professional scene. But Paranoia's rank 1 is now really not that long range. You probably shouldn't call it paranoia. Call it, like, mild distaste. Or a sense of uneasiness. It's not really
Mild
paranoia.
Mild anxiety.
Yes, there you go. At rank 1, Nocturne's ulti is instead now going to be a case of mild anxiety rather than full-blown paranoia. Because, my god, he just has absolutely no range on that thing. It's
pathetic.
It's just barely longer range than, like, a Nidalee Spear range or something like that.
I'm actually kind of curious to see how it compares with a max-level Zac-E.
That actually is a really good point of comparison, yeah. Because you have a max-level basic ability at level 9, and, of course, Nocturne will still only have a rank 1 ulti at level 9, so... Now I'm curious to see that.
I'm cheating and looking it up.
It is a good thematic team, though, for the time of year that Permafrost has put together, with both a vampire and a ghost made of pure fear from an alternate dimension. They've got a pretty Halloween-themed team going on here.
Absolutely.
But they
And a
may face off
pirate.
against a really spooky spider.
They
There's
have
a
a
really spooky spider on the other side.
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but it is a Aurelia top as well, so we'll have to see if Uber Sorcerer can compete with Pie Cake Lord.
Yeah. At the very least, we can say that Permafrost is stepping outside of their comfort zone. So we don't see a Rumble, we don't see a Zac, we don't see a Caitlyn. There are actually none of the same picks as we've seen the last two games tonight from these players. So I like that because in some of these lanes, Fiesta, just in terms of the laning prowess, seem to really outmatch Permafrost. So swapping it up can do nothing but good for you when you're already at the bottom of a hole with nothing but a shovel.
Absolutely. Avoiding doing the same thing over and over again. It's always good to change things up. And to answer our question regarding Nocturne's range, it is 2,500 at level 1, and Zac's max range for Elastic Slingshot is 1,800. So
That is depressingly close.
Yeah, that's not an insignificant difference.
Yeah, that's like 80% or 75% or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
But we do have about a minute left in the spectator delay. So
we'll be going to a small commercial break. As soon as we are in game, we'll be back and get ready to cast for you guys. So don't go anywhere, guys.
If it's silent in dismay, it won't break this feeling down. If I conquer this my way, I'd devour, I'd surround. If it hurts you just a little, then it heals you when it's done. Disappointment is the anchor, resolution is the sun. If it's silent in dismay, it won't break this feeling down. If I conquer this my way, I'd devour, I'd surround. If it hurts you just a little, then it heals you when it's done. Disappointment is the anchor, resolution is the sun.
And here we are. Welcome to the second match of the finals. This time we have Permafrost on the blue side, and I have just forgotten their name. Fiesta Esports on the red side. Had to think about it for a second. It's getting late. I need some caffeine. And they're off. We're seeing pretty much a standard line of scrimmage. Nothing too unusual. Oh, seeing some icons. My mic's working, right? Yes, my mic is working. Excellent.
my mic wasn't.
As I was thinking, maybe I had muted myself.
I apologize, Effect. I'm the one at fault here, but it's the spooky ghost nocturne. We are in full Halloween regalia.
I do
today.
have that Nocturne skin. I love it. It is
And
amazing.
it's the like Nosferatu vampire Vladimir as well. I think this is full awareness of the Halloween spirit from
Excellent.
Permafrost.
Well, they are
Oh,
in
this is
the
great.
spirit of the holidays.
Well, we've got a 5-man spread from both teams. Nothing remotely exciting in the level 1, sadly. But we will be seeing at least a Nocturne jungle clear, which could be interesting. You don't see a lot of those because you don't see a lot of Nocturnes. Interested to see how that goes.
Definitely really curious to see what he does here because, like I said, we've never really seen a Nocturne here before. And obviously, he's not exactly a meta pick by any regard.
Nekami is going for some deep scouting here. He may pay for it as the Braum passive is more than enough to hold him up. Piltover comes down. Swift is going to flash forward for the headshot enhanced auto attack. Winter's Bite comes down, but it doesn't find the kill. There's the auto from Maga, though. And that is not the one they want to give first blood to. Not with the performance that Maga had last game. Zenix is going to fall as well. Swift to get second blood. This is already looking bad.
This is, oh my, terrible, not good, bad.
They're
Insert.
such synonyms.
Yes. Oh my. That's not the start that Permafrost wanted by any degree.
It's going to be so rough for Giraffe Hex as well. I mean, the first blood is bad. The second blood is worse. And the fact that Giraffe Hex, already in a rough lane matchup, Sivir versus Caitlyn, now has to play without a support for the first 30 or 40 seconds. There's not really much that he can do now. He's just going to fall further and further behind here. He's farming okay for now, but it's at the cost of quite a bit of his mana bar.
Absolutely. Seeing that Pike Kickler has been really aggressive in that top sign. And we're seeing.
Nekami plays a little aggressive himself. And we'll see whether or not Permafrost can recover from this. This is not exactly the correct step in that direction. There's a flash in from Ryan Boy. The CC is instantly cleansed, however. The right blade from Uber Sorcerer and flashes away in response. Gets himself to safety.
Auto. Yeah, Uber Sorcerer is definitely not where he kind of wants to be here. He doesn't have a
I
flash.
think Nextras has to get up to top lane in the next few moments. Okay. I was about to say, if they keep on shoving, Nextras has to be up there because that is just a choreographed dive if I've ever seen one. But it looks like they're going to back off from it.
They are definitely going to play it safe. They could have easily died if they just stayed stuck around, but they didn't want to risk a.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have any clear vision on Nextras. He could have been around, and a 2v2 is not something you want to risk when you're already 2 kills up in the early game with favorable lane matchups. For the most part, like there's no reason to go for those.
Absolutely. Oh, we're seeing Giraffe's actually doing it all right now that he has his support.
Yeah. I want to put that down to just the power of Karma in lane, even having given up the early kill. Oh, Uber Sorcerer didn't actually get a chance to base. Oh, that's really rough. He's gonna miss some minions now because Pi Cake Lord got to base and teleport back into the lane. He's got a huge wave that he's shoving. I don't know, maybe at least like 4 or 5 minions will die unless the teleport is burned. So yeah, force the summoner there, which is really rough.
That is indeed rough. But to be fair, Pi Cake Lord also does not have a teleport.
Yes, that's true. But
Nope.
there was a... Oh, wow. Nexus is actually doing some great damage here to Ryan Boy. Standing on that darkened path, he does actually get extra AD, and Ryan Boy can't handle the 1v1. Gets out of there with the repel, thankfully. There's a flash in from Shocks. They're going aggressive here. It's because they got the backup for the mid lane. Nekami gets the benefit of a heal, though. It's the 3-man tag from the Nocturne Q. Giraffe Hex takes a bite out of a cupcake, though, and there's the flash for Pie Cake Lord. Did Uber Sorcerer... Okay. He just teleported back into that lane to die. No.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, we didn't get to see much of the play, much of what led up to that, but the end result is going to be that's
A huge minion wave.
Rally, yeah. Oh, Swift is going to get snared up here. Can't quite break the tether from Nekami, and Nextras has stuck around long enough to take advantage of that. Real focus on the bottom lane from Nextras, but I like it. It's a winning strategy so far.
Definitely showing that Nocturne can deal some serious damage. People, because we don't see him, it's kind of always surprising how much damage he can deal because of that bonus AD gets.
And something you got to take into account was that Nexus has had a chance to base earlier because he went for a full jungle sweep and then he just based and purchased a pair of longswords. He's going for the warrior enchantment on top of the chilling smite bonus. Whereas we still hadn't seen Ryan Boy go back to base. Xenix could be in some trouble. Thankfully, there's no level 6 for Maga.
Kind of panic pulled there. He didn't need to use it right there.
Yeah, I think maybe he should have used it to avoid the stun in the first place. Maybe he shouldn't have used it at all. Maybe he was getting out of there safely. One way or another, though, he still has to base. So
Absolutely. He's working on a Spectral Cowl, so that is going to help his durability in lane, but we're seeing the difference in skill here in terms of CS.
And this is what that kill right after Uber Sorcerer's teleport means. There's a 12 CS lead now for the Aurelia. A item spike has been reached. Nextress didn't have the spell shield up in time. No!
It was up actually, but it only blocks one of the balls. It doesn't block the.
One?
Yep, it doesn't block all of them.
You think I'd notice?
It's sometimes not readily apparent. Because I guess they count each ball as an individual spell.
I didn't think he had it up in time. I thought he had burned it on one of the smaller Qs, not anticipating that much burst. But no, indeed, today I learned something, and today maybe somebody else in the audience learned something, as Cinder ulti is not as easily spell shielded as you might think, which does devalue the Nocturne and Sivir picks a little bit.
You can use it to block the stun at best.
Yeah, or, I mean, a little bit of the damage.
That is true. It's still, probably blocking the stun's probably a good thing, but
Speaking of blocking the stuns,
Ooh.
Xenix has to block one of them at least with his pool, but he still may go down. There's the ghost popped, and Maga is there for the killing spree.
Unfortunately, he hesitated on retreating there. Probably should have popped a ghost while in pool to get away.
And I mean, Maga has double the CS of his opponent now. Nekami's going to get stunned up there with a long range Caitlyn, and speaking of long range, Swifta finishes it off with a headshot. No getting away from that one, even with the flash. That was just burned to try and do so.
Fiesta having a super firm lead. There is the first tower of the game.
Brick point. 4,000 gold lead, only 8 minutes in. That's 2,000 gold per every 2 minutes. Yes? No. Math is hard. Nextress is using the first mild anxiety to come to the bottom lane, and he does get another 2 kills secured for his team. The Nocturne pick has worked out, but has it worked out enough?
Uber Sorcerer taking advantage of Aurelia popping one of the barrel health for free.
Like, they've evened up the duo lanes, I'd say. But these solo lanes are just falling to pieces. And all the attention that Nocturne has had to heap on bottom lane just to keep it even has meant that there's nothing going on in favor of Permafrost in mid or top. There's 20 or more CS leads. There's kills aplenty.
Yeah, they definitely need to find a way to play as safe as possible here, but that's still going to be very difficult the way these leads are extending out.
I mean, we saw it last time around, though. Fiesta, they kind of faltered a little bit in executing on, like, finishing the game. To be fair, they didn't have quite this intense a lead this early on, so maybe they won't find the room to falter with this much gold up over their opponents. But there is still that opportunity, and I suppose they could play around their bottom lane, but they didn't really pick a super hard scaling bottom lane here. Uber Sorcerer's dead again, most likely. Just a few more autos will do it, but Maga doesn't find them, and Nextress is topside, and the Blink Plague
Oh, no!
Oh, there's the toss! No! Uber, just walk away!
He had to either choose between that or walk into Pie Cake Lord.
That's true. He was stuck between a sword and
Uh,
a ball of nothingness.
unfortunately,
Ball of nothingness.
yeah. Unfortunately, Nextress was not quite there quick enough to save the day.
He did get revenge, though, at the very least. And Nextress has had a great game. I gotta hand it to him. This Nocturne pick has been solid, but
Oh
it's
my!
just not enough. And now he's gonna get caught out doing his blue buff. Pie Cake Lord stuns him up. The spell shield's a little late. Doesn't actually block anything as Pie Cake Lord waits it out to drop his Q. And that's even the Nocturne falling now.
Very unfortunate turn of events.
So he goes quietly into that night. Uber Sorcerer can't fight Pie Cake Lord. He was low on mana, but then he got himself a blue buff. That's not going to be a problem any longer. He's not going to be on low health either for very long with the Aurelia sustain.
Absolutely, he is just going to walk back to lane and probably start sustaining back up. He did opt for a early Stinger instead of the Sheen. That does increase his true damage output.
At this point, though, I don't think he really has to make a choice next time to go back to base. He'll probably have enough just for the full Trinity Force. He's unstoppable already, 5-0.
He does pick up another extremely easy kill for him. Unfortunately, Uber Sorcerer has no way to get away from that.
Oh, no.
Oh, Xenix. Poor guy. Just missed the Hemoplague entirely.
Vladimir does have one skill shot.
Kind of. It's instant.
It is a skill shot. You gotta aim it. Swift flashes away immediately, doesn't actually avoid the damage.
Oh, a triple
It's
stun.
Man, stunned with only one ball, too. Maga is a sniper here, and Pie Cake Lord is there to clean up the sniping range. This is about as over as it gets 10 minutes into the game.
And there is not a whole lot that can be done here, barring extreme environmental events.
Were you about to say meteor?
Yes.
I feel like you were about to say meteor again.
That counts.
God damn it, effect. Always with the divine intervention.
That's about what they need right now.
I really do need an act of God to come back from this sort of disadvantage. That's Trinity Force completed for Pie Cake Lord. The bell is called.
He has bought a BF sword.
That bell tolls.
You're fading out a little bit, sorry.
I was making references to poetry. It's
Ah.
okay.
I see. Curiously enough, Pie Cake Lord has opted to purchase a BF sword, so he is now going to hit even harder.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of makes sense. It doesn't really matter what he buys right now. He could purchase nothing but boots, and I think he'd do just fine.
He did purchase boots too.
Well, I mean, like, build himself a shoe shop
Ah.
for one of each.
I see.
Seriously, he just has so much gold to work with and level advantage, and just everything is playing in his favor right now.
Absolutely, he is a terrifying force to be reckoned with. Speaking of,
Lord leaping on Uber Sorcerer, there you see the damage output that he's capable of. He turns back on to Nekami, and well, Nekami doesn't have anywhere left to turn. He flashes over the wall. He may yet get out. Indeed, he does, unless Swift has something to say about it. Oh no! Can't even give him that faint glimmer of hope.
oh my, oh goodbye, Orber Sorcerer. Oh, maybe not.
Actually, no, not quite yet. Shox is there though. One more headbutt from the Braum, or a snipe again from Maga. Man is not a Yasuo one trick. That much is for sure.
That is certainly. Oh, here comes Dex just to say hi.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Very aggressive greeting. Giraffe Hack's actually nicely dodging that cocoon there. But Maga is a resident sniper and lands a bit more damage onto him.
Yeah,
The rest of Fiesta have no reason to let up the pressure.
certainly not a lot they can do here. We're seeing
Rest of-
that Permafrost just doesn't even have a completed item yet.
It rhymes, therefore it's funny. Well, they're going to back off, finally. As they have lost about half of their health for the most part. But they've got quite a bit of gold to work with, quite a bit of room to maneuver, and we'll see where they choose to maneuver next.
At 7k gold lead at 14 minutes and a massive difference in kills. It's got to be extremely demoralizing.
1,000 gold for every 2 minutes. That's the math I was reaching for before, and that's the math that they're still on track with. Man, that's frankly obscene.
Absolutely. We're seeing a little bit of an ambush here.
Or maybe we don't, I guess. I mean,
They were just waiting.
they
to...
showed that bush,
Yeah, they showed that Bush was boss.
but there are no Iverns in this game, so there's no enemy bushes. All the bushes are neutral.
We're seeing that Permafrost is trying to get a dragon here.
Shox is playing a little too far ahead of the rest of his team. This is a decent opening. Hemoplague hits 2. That's pretty good. Maga's a little bit separated off from the team, but they're not actually going after him. I don't think that was quite the right call. Maga's given free reign to grab himself a killing spree. There was an opening there that I think Permafrost could have gone for, but they kept trying to chase down the low health Braum rather than taking the open Syndra. They do finally kill the Braum.
And they kind of left. Probably shouldn't have left Maga alone.
He's flashing in with a nice spell shield. And now they're not leaving Maga alone anymore. Nextress finally finishes off what should have been done a while ago. Maybe going for the kill onto Swifta as well.
Oh, he might be in a little trouble.
But, I think he's fine. Meanwhile, though, Pie Cake Lord is split pushing to his heart's content. He'll get himself an inhibitor turret. Wants to go after the inhibitor, but he's gonna bother with some petty champions first. Even through the exhaust, he gets the kill. Perhaps the double. No, the shutdown. Well, shuts him down.
It only takes 2 champions and a bunch of minions to take out Pie Cake Lord.
In a turret for a little while.
It's true. Xenix is in a lot of trouble. And there's the slow.
Bite lands, and there's the finishing bite. Winter's bite, and then a spider bite.
Lots of bites. Things like to bite.
Vladimir's a vampire. I mean, he's the one who should be fighting. But he never actually does.
He cheats and just, pulls the blood out.
Yeah, he just magics the blood away. He's not a real vampire. One of those darned magician vampires. He's taking all our vampire jobs.
And that is the
Mount Drake goes down.
that is the first dragon actually for Fiesta. To be fair, there you have just a huge advantage in every other category. Except jungle. Jungle's like the only thing they're not winning in.
Yeah, and I've got to definitely give credit to Nextrus. The guys pulled out some pretty interesting, at the very least, Nocturne play. But I feel like it's been opportunistic at best, and he's not really been able to make anything significant happen, just kind of clean up some messy fights that Fiesta maybe went a little bit too ham on.
So he did have a couple of good ganks, even with the hello, hi Swift.
Yeah, Uber Sorcerer's putting out some damage. He's got his own Trinity Force completed. But, I mean, you've got to look at the ticking time bomb that is top lane. Pie Cake Lord is split pushing again. See how this fight goes, and then Gladius back up there. Nextrus gets the kill onto the Caitlyn. Chox and Syndra are both once again hit by the Hemo Plague, as Ryan Boy is caught off to the side. This is actually looking mighty fine for the Permafrost boys. Oh, there's the auto. But here we are, glancing once again back up at the top lane, which I mentioned at the start of that fight. Pie Cake Lord is left to his own devices, and idle hands are the devil's workshop. Inhibitor goes down.
Yep, he is now making friends.
His hands are no longer all that idle. Oh my god, he nearly kills 2 people in a 1v4, no less. Pardon me. Math is tough. Uber Sorcerer puts an end to his reign of terror, though.
He is still definitely scary. There is the Duskar Blade.
That's a goddamn Duskar. Duskar? It's Duskar Blade. Good lord, though. Seriously, that is
Pain.
very, very cocky to go with a Duskblade of Drakthar, second item on Aurelia.
He's definitely, lots of pain. And pain incarnate right there. But does sacrifice that for some durability. But he has such a huge lead right now.
Interestingly, Maga is going the opposite route in terms of build. He's going a really, really conservative Syndra build with Morello to counter out the Vladimir, and then a sort of off-tank Rylai's Crystal Scepter. So I guess he's making up for the just absolutely insane Aurelia build that we're seeing from Pie Cake Lord.
Absolutely. We're seeing the game is evening out a little bit. It's no longer a 7k gold lead. It's down to about 5 to 6k.
Yeah, and I mean, it's evening out in terms of kill score as well. They're only like a few kills behind now, but still you can see the tempo of the match is being very much determined by Fiesta.
Yeah.
They've made some mistakes, and I mentioned this last game. They get too confident coming out of laning phase, and they go for some crazy plays, some really, really ballsy overextensions and stuff. But I just don't know if Permafrost is in a position to take advantage of these.
Absolutely. There's still just the massive gold lead coming out of laning phase is having a serious effect on the ability for them to close out the game.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that Permafrost is actually doing a pretty good job stalling it out as best as they can here, though a lot of that is just taking team fights and ignoring Pie Cake Lord.
Yeah, but again, it's kind of hard to ignore Pie Cake Lord for that long. He's already done some good damage in the top lane. The inhibitor's down, and they have to deal with that. Now he's rejoined his team and going to just provide that permanent pushing power on the bottom lane. And a secondary turret will fall. That's pretty much no contest. We'll see whether or not the inhibitor turret follows suit.
We're seeing Super Sorcerer's trying to deal with that minion wave, but he lost a lot of health to it. Oh wow, and that turret is melting.
Yes, indeed. But there's the Nocturne ulti paranoia coming in. A 5-man Hemo Plague. Nicely done. Pie Cake Lord gets melted. Absolutely. Well, maybe not. He turns to the neck, and he actually managed to trade 1 for 1 with 200 hit points remaining at the start of the fight. That is some insane Aurelia damage right there. Still does break down. Whether or not Giraffe Hex circles around. Really good burst out of Maga. The second Q doesn't quite find its mark, and Permafrost hold their own. Comes at a dear cost. It's a very clear victory.
That's a pity, because that was a beautiful Hemoplague. Oh.
Well, it turned the Pyrrhic victory into a Pyrrhic defeat right there. Smago lands a Cinder combo.
Unfortunately for
But
Giraffe.
still.
And Giraffe Hack's not quite having the Spell Shield active to live.
Yeah, or heal up. It's almost up. That would have, I believe, saved him as well. I don't. It's hard to tell. You can't see overkill numbers in League. Maybe even through the heal, Mago would have gotten him. He does have the heal reduction on Morello.
That is true. Definitely curious to see if I wish they would add that overkill damage so you could see how much.
Yeah. I get something like this Aurelia or something like that. Who's still building more damage, by the way. Looks like maybe a Yumu's or a Mob Malmortius. Two routes I could see him going with that.
Absolutely. Ooh, Sorcerer is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot he can do there to get away.
Once Pie Cake Lord gets next to somebody, that somebody is very dead, unless there's some really extenuating circumstances. This is pretty much the ultimate Aurelia right here.
Oh, he's just a huge chunk of Xenix's health there.
And one of the issues I'd say with Permafrost's team composition is they don't really have any pure tank to head up the front lines. I mean, Xenix is decently tanky, but not against something like this Aurelia damage. It's the final Transcendent Blade doesn't quite hit the mark.
Yeah.
And Nocturne is building full damage right now.
Absolutely. He's building... definitely not afraid to be... We did see that the effects of that. He did get a kill onto Swifta, but he also melted under that damage.
Yep. Paranoia comes down, but he's not going to actually be able to follow it up with anything.
Ah.
that kill goes over to Gangplank because the Gangplank ulti was there for a few moments.
Good assist, Baron.
When the kill credit does go to Gangplank. Good spell shield from Nextris there. But Zirmaga does not give up on the kill that easily. Nocturne doesn't land, but the ulti is point and click. And Syndra gets herself a kill. Nice flash from Uber Sorcerer to get some revenge. Cake Lord is diving on a Giraffe Hex through everything. He manages to instantly burst him, and he gets a double kill under the inhibitor turret through a heal and an exhaust. No, the exhaust wasn't dropped. Nekani still has that, oddly enough. Through a heal and a snare.
Maybe not expecting that level of damage despite the Draclar Blade.
It's just... Pie Cake Lord is almost untouchable at this point.
He is terrifying. Oh.
You have to perma-CC him until death, basically, because you can just do that. You just turn around and do that, and he's time he wants.
That's a very unfortunate turn of events. That is another inhibitor going down in favor of Fiesta.
He has become Pie Cake Lord Shiva, god of death and pastry. No? Reference to Hindu mythology, not quite flicking.
I had to think about it for a second, but I do get it now. Hindu mythology is not something I think about too often.
Really? Do tell. To be fair, it's not exactly very far up there on my mental to-do list either. It's mostly League of Legends and pizza.
If I didn't have to sleep, maybe it would be higher up.
Don't lie.
Just think about all the time we could do with an additional 5 hours of wake time.
5 hours, okay. Maybe you should try sleeping more. Just some advice.
I try. But we were seeing that Fiesta...
Wow, Cake Lord is so dedicated to this full damage Aurelia. Yumu's and then going into the Ravenous. Or maybe a Tiamat. I don't know. Maybe he's going off tank, but I'd be disappointed at this point, honestly.
I would be very...
Ravenous.
I definitely have expectations for him to be building straight into a Ravenous Hydra.
I mean, he's got a jungler and a mid lane who are building somewhat cautiously and sedately, so he's just going to go absolute all-out Aurelia and get bursted for it.
He went a little aggressive there, and Nekami's like, I will CC you.
Oh, Drafex is down, though. This could actually be the end right here. Aurelia got bursted, and that is a good sign. There's so much left in the tank for Fiesta. Nekami's going to fall. The ace in the hole, not even necessary. As Xenix gets stun chained. And Uber Sorcerer's getting flashed upon. We'll see whether or not they can finish off the ace. That's the triple kill for the Syndra, the ace indeed. And
Yeah.
26 minutes into the match or so, we have our 2-0 going over to Fiesta.
So I don't see anything stopping them here. They do have the huge minion waves and a Caitlyn with the Baron buff. And that is definitely it. That's the end. Congratulations to Fiesta Esports for convincingly taking this final away. Very good attempt by Permafrost, but unfortunately, the end is the end.
Yeah. I'd say both teams can definitely learn things from those. Fiesta had a really good laning play and some really solid skirmishes, but they're kind of over aggressive and kind of messy in some of their fighting. That may just be because they didn't really feel like they could fail in that second game. And to be honest, maybe they couldn't, but you never really want to play that way.
Absolutely.
No, you don't ever underestimate your opponent. It's the most dangerous mistake you can make.
Well, in the end, they were able to close it out. Both Maga and Pyke cleared in the double digits for kills. And that is going to be it for us, guys. Quick shout out to our sponsors. We do have, you may have noticed during the advertisements, we do use Battlefly as our tournament service. So that's how we create and run our tournaments. And you can always sign up there at battlefly.com. There is Vibi, which is the service we use to basically create highlight videos. You plug in a video, and you're able to create highlights without downloading any additional software. So it's very nice, very handy. And then last but certainly not least, we do have a LOL history app, which is basically a summoner lookup tool, kind of like LOL King, but on a phone instead, such as an Android or an iPhone. And I guess that's it, guys. Hopefully we can see you guys again next week. Congratulations once again to Fiesta. And that's going to be it, guys. Good night.
Have a good night, everybody.